Hi, John Marshall, the DrillMaster. We have now, I don't know the school's name. This is exhibition drill. We're going to judge overall effect. And again, I'm going to let the performance play. I'm not going to pause. I'm going to approach this as just as I am going to, I'm standing there judging. And now, this performance, the camera's at the back of the drill deck here, unfortunately, but that's okay. The orientation was really bad. Honestly, the setup was quite poor. Having the team perform to a wall, that's and it actually looks like hangar doors. I'm not sure exactly where this is, but having them perform to nothing was a bad choice, a very bad choice actually. So that's unfortunate for the team. So we're judging exhibition drill. We're judging the what and how. So the repertoire effect and the performance effect. The repertoire is that list, if you want to say, or vocabulary. Vocabulary is a better word. The vocabulary that is created. And we look at sound design. We also look at the coordination and the staging. So staging has to do with the not only the orientation, but also the location of the team on the deck. In this case, we're calling it a deck instead of a drill area. It's more conducive to the Marine Corps techniques. So there, I've rewound that, and I'm going to rewind. Yep, got that going. Good. Okay, so since I can't hear this video, I've got the video over here, so I'll just hit play twice. There'll be a little bit of a delay, but at least I'll be able to know what's going on. And then we'll judge the what and the how for overall effect. So click play and click play. Always great to grab attention. The flare on that facing movement wasn't exactly where it needed to be as far as execution is concerned. So you're stepping over logs, it looks like. You've got that, this is the heel dig step. Okay. That was, I would assume, I would categorize that as part of the opening statement. Nice ripple effect here. It really, and I like that the team stops with the rifle pointing down, because that lends a bit of a question mark there to, oh, what are they going to do next, for your audience. Really well done. The only problem here is that you've come in platoon formation, you've marched through for platoon formation, and you've reported in platoon formation with present arms. So we've got nice exchange going on there. Great to the rear march that is very different from the usual, but you're still calling commands using and even left flank. So you're using that the usual commands. Excellent. Excellent technique coming across. And I also like this, the different parade rest, looking down to the left. It draws attention to the left. And so you started at a certain tempo, and it looks like you're increasing tempo, which also generates excitement in the audience. Coming into a cordon, this is really well done with the exchanges. Nicely done. Consistent. Nice chair step turn. This variation of technique, this is really well done. But you move into in and out of platoon formation, and I would suggest Really like that turnaround. That works well. Although it's not not completed with the same technique by everyone, which means that then you have slight variation in alignment and also spacing. I'd also suggest instead of instead of calling the commands, I'd come up with something else. The regulation drill commands. Nicely done. Ripple to this different parade rest, the rifle behind. I appreciate that very much. That took some thought, and so it's a little bit of an awkward rifle work there to pull it around, but you did it, and that's good. Commander, you could be doing something here in just instead of just being commander. Some different movement here using the rifle, and see that line creation of the rifle barrel going off to the left with the foot coming out to the right. Really well done. Maybe you didn't even notice that you were doing that, but that was an excellent job. Some unusual work, and that's good. Standard port spins, so you've got some basic and intermediate work going on here, which is really nice. Great timing split here, splitting the team up, not catching up fully, not recovering all that well, coming up to forming the team back into platoon formation. So, Commander, again, you're being a regulation drill commander. The heel dig step with a larger step is a nice variation of technique. Now, here you're in a column, you're in the cordon formation, and commander's going through. Bad orientation. This really doesn't work at all. So the orientation needs to be going towards the audience. The commander always needs to go toward the audience or from the audience with a cordon like this. Going side to side doesn't really mean anything. There's very little impact as far as the audience is concerned. I understand the effects that you're trying to create here, but it doesn't work really well at all. And the mark time, continuous mark time. Oh, crud. Oh, I guess that was the end. Well, that's disappointing. All right, sorry, that's the end. Okay, so where I was going with this was the mark time just going on much too long. It's dragging out the performance. People are now their attention is extraordinarily low as far as the performance is concerned, and they're just not going to have that attention like they had before. You have the ups and the downs, the high points, and then the tension, and then the release for a couple of movements there, which worked well. This is a very so let's get into the score sheet here. So what we're looking at is production value, sound design. Sound design is there. There's some the rifle work, not only the butt slams, but the rifle slaps, the marching technique with the heels, digging in, creating different sounds. That was good. It worked well. You're still about a low box 3 with that. So the range and variety of effects. So we're looking at the 3 types of effect: aesthetic, emotional, and intellectual. And I should explain those in another video. Won't take the time here. This is a judging sample video. So you had some good effects. You had movement effects, you had formation effects, and you also had some rifle effects. You didn't just march and then stop and spin. So you had a combination of everything. It's still at a a low intermediate level, like I was saying, low box 3, but still you have all those there, and that it's working well for you. Nicely done. So we have equipment, movement, and staging. Staging here doesn't work well, not at all. The staging earlier, you have a certain amount of deck coverage. That's good. Going back and forth in front, and then moving towards the back, pushing toward the front again. But the staging here, the orientation of the team just doesn't work with the cordon. I know you're breaking up into the smaller, the 3 smaller teams with the 4 drillers facing each other, or at least 2 of those teams, and then the middle looks like they might be doing something else. But unfortunately, I don't know why I only had that portion of the performance. So anyway, you've got some. You have, like I was talking about earlier, the impacts, resolutions, the climaxes. You have some phrasing going on, and it's extended phrasing. It's not just short little tiny bits. Now, what I mean by phrasing is just like when we're talking, just like a sentence. You put sentences together, and you have commas, you have periods, exclamation points, and even question marks. So the phrasing that you have here, when we first start out writing, we write very short sentences, or we add sentences together by putting "and" in there all the time. And that gets repetitive, and it's a little it comes across as boring and redundant. This isn't boring and redundant. The team has some flavor to it. It's definitely military flavor for sure. So the pacing of the routine over time, well done, with a couple of tempo changes in there. Now, I can't tell whether going out of that cordon when you started to turn and you were marking time using a kind of chair step there, and then slowly but surely increasing the tempo. I can't tell if that was on purpose or not, but it doesn't matter, really. I'm not supposed to judge that part. It just came across like that, and I judge what I'm seeing, and that worked really well. I really appreciated the slower turning and then movement into an increased tempo there. That worked really well. Later on, just before you got into this, the high dig, heel dig step that you were doing, that was a variation of what you worked with or entered with. And but I would suggest that you not use that heel dig step all the time. That does get just a bit redundant, going back to that all the time. Having just a normal marching step thrown in there every once in a while to move from this position to that position would really break up the that other step that you were as I was saying, stepping over logs. All right, coordination and staging. You have you're coming across the front and back, and like I was saying earlier, then moving back and then forward. So staging. I have staging twice. Movement, equipment, movement, and staging, and then I have coordination and staging. So actually, I need to remove coordination and staging. It's really pretty much the staging of effects up towards the top, and then I get what I was trying to say here, but I don't think it works all that well. So I'll take care of that. I'll definitely take care of that. All right, and then continuity and flow between effects. As I was saying earlier, you don't stop, perform, and then start to march, stop, perform. You have a flow of the routine, and that's good. That really is you're showing an awareness of that the necessary flow between your effects that you're creating here, and that's to keep your audience engaged. They really need to have that constant effects given to them, whether it's an impact and then a resolution, or if it's just impact. And then we have imagination, definitely creativity, and some originality. Yep, saw it in there, and that was good. You had some rifle movements that have been done by other teams, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. The step also, that heel dig step, has been done by other teams, but you used it to your benefit with a variation in there. And then detailing, nuance, and artistic qualities. Sure, there's artistic qualities in there. You have a creation in there that was created by the team at some point, or an individual really, and then the whole team comes across really well in performing that. So there's really good qualities in the performance. So then that's the repertoire effect. That's the what. So we have a what, and we're going to score that out of 100. So we're going to use the top row of numbers. So the what, I'm going to give a high box 3, and I'll go into 51 for that. And then the how is next. So generated emotion and engagement with the audience. I would think the audience is engaged watching this performance. There might be a little bit of a lull coming into this marked time here, but that's not too bad, honestly. So we're starting. So I said the what was a high box 3. So now the what is a high box 3, then the what now is, or the what is a high box 3, the how then is going to be probably a lower box 3. So embodied and sustained identity and style. Yes, definitely. You have whether you believe me or not, when we put on a uniform, when we have a military bearing, is a persona. All right, we take on a difference when we're in the uniform. When we're going to perform an exhibition drill movement, I keep motioning this way because this is where the video is. Every time we have a performance, then that there is a persona there. We're not ourselves. We are a team member. So that persona was definitely created, that identity was created, and the style was maintained throughout the performance there. So delivered and sustained impacts, resolutions, and climaxes. I think the team did very well for what they performed. So I'm still going to score the what at the high box 3, but we're going to go to a lower box 3 here for the how. And then, there were especially the entrance, the spin that they did. They came in, stopped, platoon formation still, stopped and did a couple of spins, moved forward, did a couple of spins there. The spins are a little erratic with the angles of the rifles there. The step technique was a little different. There was variation of technique there. So it didn't come across as clear as it could have. And then best communicated nuance, detail, and artistic qualities. Yep, artistic qualities are there, but that nuance and detail that I was just talking about, that's a little bit lower. So, and then best communicated excellence as an effect. They have a certain level of excellence. It's still lower box 3, but that level of excellence is there. And then best or floor coverage. I put floor there. We can have deck, area, whatever you choose. So they made a T, basically. So if you look at the routine, it was across the front and then up and down the middle once. So we had these two big glaring spaces here. So floor coverage is there. It's still a low box 3, but the idea of coverage was there. What we don't want is a column movement in every single corner just to make sure we check that box. That's not going to work at all. All right, so I said it was a 51, 52 for repertoire effect, and then performance effect. I'm going to give a still a 100 score here. Going to give the team probably I'd say probably a 35, 34, 35. So 35, yeah, that would work. And then the commander. Commander wasn't really involved with the performance. The commander was just, the service drill teams in Washington, D.C. There's a very specific reason why the commander is just a commander for those teams and doesn't have all that much of an involvement, a performance involvement. Although, commander's in there every once in a while, and it's all designed because they represent the mission that they have, and that mission is laying to rest all of our fallen, and then the escorts to the president and all the ceremonies. So they really can't have a more involved commander. It just doesn't have that presence wouldn't be there. This performance here calls for the commander to be much more involved. And so, commander, you're going to out of 50, then I'm going to give you a rarely. You're a high box 2 here, so 12. You're rarely, coordination and staging, going back up at the top, production value. You're rarely there. Yeah, you're not part of that performance. So then, and remember down here across the bottom, before we get to the tabulation and scoring area, there's sub-caption spreads. Remember, so I gave the team a 52 and then a 30 for 35. So those spreads actually mean something. So that's the significant difference, 10 or higher. That definitely means something there. And then for the commander, I'd also give the what and the how. I give a separation there, in that. So 12 for the what, and then the how is probably going to be an 8. Maybe even 6. So and that's not supposed to destroy somebody's. You're not personally validated through judging like this. This has nothing to do with that. This is not a personal thing. This is a performance. It's just an objective view at the performance. So while overall effect, I can react to the performance in that, hey, wow, that was really nice. That came across really well. Put a smile on my face, or, well, I'm confused as to why you did that. Those type of reactions are great. The other captions are analysis. I'm not necessarily analyzing. I'm trying to be objective because of the written standard, but I'm still going to react because it's an effect that I'm looking at. The overall general effect is what drum corps and marching bands use. It's general effect. Well, I wanted overall effect here. All right, so that's the. Let's see, we didn't have a guide on, so that wouldn't be a score. And then tabulation would take care of the bottom. I'd write the scores in for the top and the bottom of the sheet, and then tabulation would take care of the rest. All right, so that's exhibition drill overall effect. Thank you.